Yes, indeed, I did attend AEW All Out and Starcast 3. I wanted to give my thoughts on the show and the future of AEW. I know it's been a few days, but I've been in Chicago attending these events, and I just got home late last night. So here is my AEW All Out, I guess you can say recap or review or just thoughts overall on the show, okay? First of all, I want to give a very special thanks to Wrestling Travel, Blue Chew, and Starcast for treating me so well over the weekend. I got to see a lot of really cool stuff, see a lot of really cool people who I respect, and meet some friends that I have never actually met in person before in the wrestling business, or who are now involved in the wrestling business. So I am very grateful for that. So AEW All Out, their second pay-per-view, you could count it as being the third one if you include All In, but the company wasn't really AEW at the time. It was just a project that Omega, Cody, and the Young Bucks put together, and this show was like sort of the culmination of it. Chris Jericho became the first AEW champion, and apparently he legitimately, it's not an angle, he legit got his belt stolen. Somebody jacked his belt while he was having dinner at Longhorn Steakhouse. First of all, I find it hilarious that he actually brought the belt into the restaurant instead of leaving it locked in his car or in his trunk or something like that. But it's just a funny story. I hate to say it, but it makes me laugh. He had a pretty good match with Hangman Page. It was main event of the show. It went on after the Young Bucks Lucha Bros ladder match. So to me, the crowd was into it, but that Young Bucks match was absolutely crazy. Escalera de la Muerte is what it's called. Escalera de la Muerte. I slurred there for a second. Ladder of Death. But I noticed something about this show, and I wanted to talk about it. First of all, Jericho, Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, incredibly over with this crowd. Live, the show came off great. The crowd was really into almost everything. It was beautiful. Cody Rhodes is really popular. He's very over with this audience. He was a super hot babyface here. And Shawn Spears was relatively decent as a heel, but I think the issue here with both Shawn Spears and Hangman Page is that I don't think they had enough time to build these guys up. If you're bringing in an audience from the outside, obviously with AEW you've got a lot of hardcore wrestling fans that watch it, but the casual fans who only watch WWE have no idea who Hangman Page is. Same thing with Orange Cassidy. He got a huge pop when he debuted, but a lot of people had no idea who he was. They just didn't know. And I didn't even recognize him at first. I couldn't even tell from where I was sitting. And then I had to ask somebody, is that Orange Cassidy? So it was. And it was cool. But again, for guys like Hangman Page and guys like Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears was on WWE TV pretty recently, a few months ago. But the problem is that he's been portrayed as pretty much a job guy in WWE. So in order to build him up to be a credible challenger, it takes more time. And I don't think they had enough time here. They only had a few months to build him up. And to me, they just didn't have enough time. That being said, though, the match he had with Cody was great. It was a lot of fun. Arn Anderson doing the spine buster was amazing. It was great. Like I said, fantastic. Kenny Omega shockingly lost to Pac. Not Pac. Pac is how you pronounce his name, I guess. And that match was interesting because, I was not expecting Kenny to lose, but at the same time, I know why he lost, because they have to get Pac over, and because Kenny's kind of going through this storyline where he's not really himself, hasn't been winning a lot of matches lately, since he lost to Jericho. Jericho kind of messed with his head. He did beat Shima at that show, was it Fighter Fest? It was the one that was in July. Yeah, it was the one in July. And that was a great match. Great match. This Pac match was also really good. I would not say it's better than the Shima match, but it was great. Pac, and I like the fact that Pac is a heel, so he's not doing too many acrobatic things, and that to me makes the most sense. You can do the acrobatic stuff if you're a babyface, but if you're a heel, it's probably best not to do that because you're going to pop the crowd. You know what I mean? He didn't do too much of it, but there was some crazy stuff here, and I really enjoyed it. It was great. Now, again, the ladder match was just absolutely nuts. There was at least 2 times in this match where I thought there was a serious injury. There was a spot where I don't remember if it was Nick or which of the Bucks it was, but he gets dumped to the outside, and he barely grazes the apron from the top of a ladder, and it was really close to him hurting himself. Then there was another spot where one of them fell, and his leg and the back of his head hit the ladder, and it was nasty, dude. And don't forget that Phoenix was injured, or at least sore going into this show. And that was just nuts. That was just totally nuts. We also had the Women's Battle Royal, which had Mercedes Martinez making her debut, which I thought was interesting. I have seen her actually wrestle live, God, like 10 years ago, and I'm happy she's still in the business. She came into this thing. She was there. Nyla Rose winds up winning, so she'll be getting a shot at the AEW Women's title very, very soon. Her opponent will be Riho, who defeated Hikaru Shida earlier in the show. And I think it's going to be, well, I'm pretty sure the show, or the match between Riho and Nyla will be on the October 2nd AEW TNT show. So that was interesting. Also, they had the Dark Order against the Best Friends, which was a pretty good match. It was fun. You know, I was in a weird spot here because they had to follow these two great, you know, Pac and Omega, and then of course the three-way, the Cracker Barrel Clash no DQ match with Jimmy Havoc, Darby Allin, and Joey Janela, which had the awesome and incredibly memorable spot where they used a Cracker barrel twice in the match. I've seen a lot of things in wrestling, but I can't remember a wrestler using a barrel like Donkey Kong or something like that. That was just totally awesome. The other things I want to talk about here, Private Party. I've heard things about these guys. New York, Northeastern Territory wrestlers. They went up against Angelico and Jack Evans, and the match was a lot of fun. It was on the pre-show, and these guys got really over to that crowd. Again, Private Party are a couple of really young guys. You know, they're not super well known as far as outside the independent circles, but they might end up being that way now. And I like the fact that AEW is recruiting unknowns, but it is going to take a bit more time to get these guys over. I think the television will help a lot, and I think more shows will definitely help too. So October 2nd is right around the corner. I mean, it's a month away, so we'll have some new product very, very, very soon. And Private Party really did a huge favor for themselves on this show, working really, really hard to put on a good show. The production values on the show I thought were fantastic. Definitely, you know, bringing back sort of the pyro and a little bit of the showmanship here. Cody Rhodes' entrance was just totally cool. You know, he came out with Brandy Rhodes, and I think DDP was there as well, and his dog, and then they had the pyro go off in front of the dog, which people thought was kind of crazy, and, you know, Tony Khan got criticized for it. But overall, I don't think it was as good of a show as Double or Nothing. I thought Double or Nothing was a bit better, but the last, you know, the Lucha Brothers match against the Young Bucks was crazy. 21 minutes of madness. The main event was fine, and there was a lot of wackiness on this show. So, I mean, again, it's one of those things where it might not have been a, you know, up and down the card masterpiece or anything like that, but it was a good, solid show that gave you everything. I mean, I didn't even mention SoCal Uncensored against the Jurassic Express. That was so much fun. It was a perfect opener to the show, and everybody got time. There was no match that was under 10 minutes at all, like none, including the pre-show matches, even though I don't remember how long the Casino Battle Royal was, but it definitely seemed to be more than 10 minutes. So, overall, quality show, and I look forward to seeing what happens. I forgot to mention that LAX debuted on here, but they really, I don't know if they're going to be called LAX, but they did debut on this show, so they're going to be feuding with the Young Bucks going forward. And I look forward to the television to see what they're going to have cooked up. You know, now as far as Starcast went, again, I've been to a lot of conventions, mostly anime and nerd conventions. This is my first wrestling convention going to, and it's pretty much the same thing. You've got wrestlers there signing merch. You've got panels. You've got a media room. You know, you've got a mix of like old school and new school people. I did attend the CM Punk panel, hosted by Mike Johnson from PWInsider.com, who's a fantastic interviewer. The man was up there for 90 minutes asking questions with no notes, and to me that's extremely impressive coming from somebody who does interviews a lot. I do a lot of interviews over on Geekdom 101, and I've done them with other wrestlers and stuff in the past, you know, but Mike was up there and just nailed it without even having any notes, and that was crazy. You know, but CM Punk was great. His reaction to finding out that WWE is giving guys vacation time now is really, really cool. It made me smile. And the fact that he was very honest and open about certain things, you know, and he I think after watching it, I kind of admire CM Punk a lot more than I did before. You know, I've always kind of admired him for being a guy who kind of does whatever he wants. If he's not happy with something, he'll just bounce and he'll just figure out what he wants to do in life. And for somebody who's very much a free spirit, who just, you know, it wants to make himself happy. And it's not all about the money, especially when you save up money. You know what I'm saying? But It was great. That was fun. Seeing like Sergeant Slaughter there, and like God, Joel Gertner was there. There's so many people there. Tons of younger guys. Got to meet Sammy Guevara, who is a huge Dragon Ball fan. I might do something with him in the future on one of my channels, on Geekdom 101, or maybe the podcast. I haven't decided yet, but very excited to see what's going to happen here in the future of the wrestling business. In fact, I might bring in Sammy Guevara on here to talk about that first TV, because he's booked against Cody in the first TV match of the AEW era on TNT, so I'm very excited to talk to him about that. Anyways, the weekend was a lot of fun. Been to Chicago a couple times before. This is my third time in the city. I probably wouldn't live there because of the winters are very icy, but that being said, it was fun. I had a good time. I tried this awesome fried chicken place over there, and that was some of the best fried chicken I ever had. And I had this thing called Muggs Pizza. Some of the best pizza I've ever had in my entire life at Muggs Pizza. So if you're in Chicago, they stay open late. Look up Muggs Pizza. It was fantastic. Anyways, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and I'll probably be covering more of this on the K-Fabulous Lucha Brothers Wrestling Show. If you go to Google and type in K-Fabulous Lucha Bros or Lucha Bros Podcast, definitely you'll find me and my podcast on there about wrestling. We'll be doing a show about this very soon. Thanks again. Hope you have a good one.